We need to create a new industry of growing food to feed our guts. Our guts control our appetite, so we don't overeat and get fat and sick. They strengthen our immune system, so we can better resist infections. And they manufacture many of the chemicals needed to rebuild our bodies as they wear. But this industry needs to operate on a new paradigm of benefiting the community, safeguarding the planet, and ensuring fair rewards for all involved, as opposed to the old paradigm of exploiting other humans and the planet for the maximum profit for shareholders by establishing global de facto monopolies. Biota beds were developed to grow gut food, and the main inputs are waste organic material, volcanic rock dust and moisture to breed the beneficial biology needed for the soil and our guts. They are a sustainable way of growing food. We need to educate the next generation, the kids, by schools installing biota beds so they can not only learn about gut biology in a textbook way, but experience it in a real life way and see for themselves how we need to change society from exploitative to a circular society based on recycling. Please watch this video, then tell your friends to watch, then help to persuade your local schools to adopt biota beds and prepare the kids for the next phase in human history. Remember the slogan, save the planet, it is the only one with chocolate. We should teach our kids we can no longer live in a society which exploits our earth and each other. There are simply too many of us. We must switch to a circular society where we recycle and cooperate with each other. We should teach our kids that life on earth is totally dependent on the microbiology in our soil and in our guts, which makes essential minerals and nutrients available. We should teach our kids that in the digital age, that data can be manipulated, and explain the difference between data and truth. We should teach our kids that there is food which provides us with energy, which is cheap to produce, and food which rebuilds our bodies and our guts and immune system, but it's more expensive to grow, and they decide what foods they eat. All these principles are applied in biota beds, which are based on recycling waste, adding minerals, and using the natural soil biology to grow nutrient-rich, biologically active food. Any school can set up a biota. Join with me in a campaign to help schools set up biota beds and prepare the next generation for a sustainable and healthy future. Food that is accessible, food that makes us healthy at an affordable price, is among the leading challenges for us and our grandkids and their kids. I know, just watch the news. Brutal dictatorships, the virus, climate change, refugees, but food is the most important. We all have to eat the right sort of food. But what is the right sort of food? That is the big challenge I want to talk about today. It seems to be a minefield with so many different diets and views, so how can we decide what foods are genuinely healthy? The internet is the most significant innovation of our generation, and the ready access to information must be one of the greatest benefits. But there is a downside, the manipulation of information for dubious financial gain. There's a big difference between facts and the truth. Think about these 4 statements. A strong immune system protects us against the virus. Iron, zinc and calcium are essential for a healthy immune system. ImmunoWits contains iron, zinc and calcium. You can buy a month's supply of ImmunoWiz for $49.95 on special offer, normally $99.95. But what they don't tell you is that ImmunoWiz is made by grinding up scrap galvanized roofing sheet and mixing it with chalk, so that they can say that all these 4 statements are factually correct. But the message that comes over is this, that if you buy ImmunoWiz, that you will be protected from catching the virus. Is this really true? I would put that in the box of the many scams that flood the internet to make a quick buck. So what is the difference between a fact and the truth? A fact is just a piece of information, a data point, which can be verified as technically correct, easily done by artificial intelligence. But truth is based on human intelligence, looking at a spectrum of many isolated facts and answering the basic question, does it work? Is it actually true? And these scams are just everywhere on the web. The clever ones aren't so blatant. They are subtle, clever and manipulative, appearing to come from a respected authority. And it works. But we have the worst health outcome for a generation. Maybe we have longer lives due to medical science, but shorter health spans, diabetes, heart attacks and dementia from the wrong sort of food. So how do we separate the truth from these clever manipulations? If you Google food and health, you'll get enough responses that if you spend just 1 minute on each link, it would take you 14,000 years to get through them all. And if it is a genuine technical paper, full of details and jargon, it will take hours, not a minute, and the background in the relevant science. That fits my definition of impractical. You could just look at the first page. I can tell you that these will be from the established sources, rehashing the current paradigm, without any debate from the leaders at the front of scientific research. So what do you do if you are just a regular person who wants to eat healthy? Well, I can tell you what I do. I'm not looking for some single article, which will only give me a narrow perspective, which is a danger with modern reductionist research. I search the internet to find out who is at the forefront of research. Then, having selected my list of leaders in the field, I will search to see if they have written any books which gives a review of the entire field. Failing a book, I'll look for a conference paper or interview. I'll also check to see where they get their funding from, and hopefully they are from a respected independent research institution or university. My search for these lead figures led me to Tim Spector, professor at King's College London and a pioneer in gut biology, David Rubenheimer from previously Oxford University and now Seed University, and Dr. Michael Greger. From reading their books, I try and gain an independent assessment of the state of the art, free from the dreaded curse of reductionism and the silo effect. And what did I learn? That we are all fundamentally different, with varying capacities to handle different types of food. So it is unlikely to be a one-size-fits-all formula for diet, but that our bodies have an intrinsic intelligence telling us whether we are eating the right sort of food. Our gut biology is at the centre of our health, doing much more than helping us digest our food, but helps us control our appetite by sending signals telling us if we are short of some critical ingredient in our diet and when we are satisfied. That our guts are a critical part of our immune system. Every time we breathe or eat, we take into our body's biology, which could be potentially dangerous. Biology is just everywhere, but our immune system just deals with it as a matter of course. That our bodies need a continuous supply of complex chemicals to rebuild our body parts as they wear and age, and these chemicals are either made in our guts from the food we eat or directly from our food. But I also learnt of the totally transformational change in the modern food industry, which is the world's largest industry, operating on a total global basis, following the Chicago School of Economics, which says, according to Milton Friedman, that a company's role is to maximize profits for its shareholders, and the market will ensure it offers the best services for its customers. These pseudo-sovereign global corporations have such persuasive power, this is not a valid assumption, as the real world shows us with the current obesity epidemic. But I think about what I learned from the food experts. We need food for energy and food to rebuild our bodies and feed our gut biology. The food industry has done an amazing job in supplying us with energy food, but failed miserably in providing us with food to rebuild our bodies and feed our guts. Vegetables are a prime source of these nutrients, but they have been largely replaced by processed food, and the nutrient levels in the vegetables we do eat are depleted. The mineral levels in our soil have on average halved in the last half century and are continuing to decline. This is a red flag for the life of my grandkids and their kids, and set me on the search we ended up with as the biota beds. I write a lot about diets and nutrients, but let me be honest, I'm not a biochemist. I read the papers, articles and books, but this is not my speciality. If you don't agree with what I say about food and diet, then go and read the literature on my website, biota.com. If you are not convinced, that's your decision. If you are, then keep listening while I tell you about the next stage. The literature was clearly telling me what the problem was, but it was not telling me the solution, how to grow plants with all those essential minerals and beneficial biology. You may say the plants have been growing for millions of years, providing nutrients to a whole range of creatures, and more recently us humans. So where is the problem? The problem is that previously there were really very few humans, so the plants growing in a natural environment were easily able to supply all the nutrients and biology needed. The days of the hunter-gatherer with virtually unlimited land are long gone. Now there are nearly 8 billion people on Earth. How do we supply these with the nutrient and biology-rich plants that we all need? Now that is something I can do. I have been involved with growing plants for decades, 8 of them to be precise, so the challenge for me was how to develop a growing system that could provide the quality and quantity of the nutrients and biology-rich food in a sustainable and affordable way. The solution is in 4 steps. First, we need the raw materials for the nutrients. That's the easy bit, as volcanic rock dust is full of a broad spectrum of the essential minerals. But that is useless, as the plants cannot digest the nutrients, so we need the soil biology to break them down into the complex chemicals that the plants can digest. Fortunately, the biology is everywhere, and given time will just come, but we can hasten the process by inoculating the soil. We now have a farm with trillions of tiny creatures, but any dairy farmer will tell you, if you want the cows to perform, you have to feed them. Fortunately, the trillions of micro cows are not fussy eaters and are perfectly happy to eat green waste. This is a valuable resource. We just dump it into landfill to make methane to give climate change a bit of a boost. So we need a way of changing the way we handle waste so it can be collected and distributed to growers. Now we come to the last step. Biology and plants need just the right level of moisture, what I call Goldilocks moisture. Not too wet, not too dry. It is easy enough to make the soil too dry. Just leave it to the sun and wind. Not much of the agricultural land gets that nicely wetting daily drizzle. At the other extreme, it is easy to make it too wet. This is the way irrigation normally works. Apply enough water to saturate the soil when the water will spread. But to get the moisture to spread without making the soil saturated is a bit more tricky, and the partial flood and drain and natural wicking action is the key to biota beds. So that is the technology solved, but it is not the total solution. The sneaky thing about food that will make us healthy is that you have to eat it for it to do you any good, and you cannot force people to eat the right sort of food. But you can educate them of the benefits, and the best place to start is at schools. The next generation of school kids really need to understand how food works and feel for themselves how it affects their bodies. They also need to understand how to safely navigate the dangers of our digital age. Many schools have a bit of land where they can just set up a biota bed. They'll have a natural supply of waste food and green matter, which they can use and appreciate the importance of recycling. My next challenge is to persuade schools of the importance of the next generation learning about food, how to grow it, and also prepare it so it tastes good. If you're interested in joining me on this project, just email me and follow my articles and videos, which you will see at www.gbiota.com.